Hello everybody, Andrew Fantasia here. Welcome back to Digital Charcuterie for another Marvel United deep dive. Today's going to be a special deep dive, so we're going to get it underway. First and foremost, though, I have to get the business out of the way of selling my books to you because I'm a fantasy author and I'm trying to be a fantasy author with a bit of a following. And in order to do that, I need people like you to check out and read and talk about and review my books, We Were Wizards. That's the name of them right there. Seekers of the Stones is book 1. Ghosts of Wizards Past is actually book 11, but I promise it's not as confusing as it sounds. You just read this one first, and then you read this one, and you'll understand why there are 9 more, 10 more, something more. Math is bad for me. Why there are a bunch more books between this and the other, and they will gradually be filled in. But Seekers of the Stones and Ghosts of Wizards Past, they are my pride and joy. You can find them on Amazon in 3 different formats. I'm going to put a link in the description below to those Amazon pages so you can check them out. Please do so. Help out an up-and-coming fantasy author. Today we got something special planned. We are going to take a look at Secret Invasion, but we're also diverging onto a few small branching paths. So let's not waste any more time. Let's hit the table and take a look at what's in store. All right, here is Secret Invasion. And you know what? I'm going to start a new tradition here on the Deep Dives because I had some fun last week when we brought out Annihilation, and I brought out a DVD of Mortal Kombat Annihilation because everybody knows that's the greatest of the Mortal Kombat films. I can't say that with a straight face. Anyways, I'm going to make that a new tradition where every time we look at a new box here on the Deep Dives, I'm also going to roll out a movie recommendation to pair alongside that box like a fine wine because I am a huge cinephile. I have a ton of movies, and movies are my passion and my love. So why not pair a board game with a movie? Why not? Somebody's got to start doing it. Might as well be me. So Skrulls are not my favorite aliens. I have said so before. I think they're kind of bland in the grand scheme of alien things. But if you want to see a great motion picture about an invasion by a bunch of very cool aliens, I recommend Attack the Block. This was not directed by Edgar Wright, but it was produced by Edgar Wright's kind of people. I think this came out in around 2012, and it's a British movie, and it is an absolute blast. That is Nick Frost over there. That's John Boyega. And literally, I watched this movie and I thought, John Boyega is so good, I hope he gets more work. And then like a month later, I found out he got cast in Star Wars. So there you go. And the aliens in this movie are so, so cool. But yeah, check out Attack the Block if you haven't seen it. If you like alien movies, I promise this is like none you have ever seen before. It's really, really fun. All right, but let's get to the meat and potatoes here. And by that I mean Secret Invasion. This was, if you remember, the expansion that I was the least excited for in Season 3. But having opened it, having played with some of it, not a whole lot of it, but having seen other people like the Meeple Monkey having done playthroughs, particularly of the Skrulls, I can safely say now it is a much better box than my initial reaction gave it credit for. So let's take a look at the back. Here is the back of Secret Invasion, and it says, the shape-shifting Skrulls have always had eyes on Earth. Their previous conquest attempts failed, but now they've hatched a more insidious plan. A secret invasion! Skrulls disguised as superheroes and planted themselves into almost every team. Nick Fury and his trusty S.H.I.E.L.D. team have their work cut out for them to sort out friend from foe and foil the plans of the Skrull Queen. Who can you trust? I'll tell you who you can't trust. Any red miniatures. Because if Apocalypse can be purple, you know the red people did something bad. All right, let's flip this over now and open it up. Very slowly open it up. Okay, there we go. Inside is our rules leaflet. And it goes over the big new thing in here, which is the advanced training cards. Okay, and as we flip that over, we get a look at just some special rules about when you face the Skrulls and special rules about when you face Queen Ferengi, which I have not read yet because I haven't faced either of them. Their names haven't come up yet. Here are our locations first. Secret Invasion gives you 4 of them, and they are Camp Hammond with a chibi statue of, who is that? Jim Hammond, I guess that's his name. I don't know who that guy is, but I love whenever representations of humans in the United World are also chibi, like the Statue of Liberty or the Two-Face coin. That just really makes me smile. After Camp Hammond is San Francisco. So for those of us looking to recreate X-Men 3 The Last Stand, boom. You can also recreate Rise of the Planet of the Apes, but that might be a little more complicated. The Peak 7. I don't know what happened in the first 6 peaks, but this one seems to be in good working order. Oh, wait, there's a missile shooting for it. Never mind. Somebody start building the Peak 8. And Mount Rushmore, which is not super chibi, but I'll let that slide because Mount Rushmore is a lot of fun to look at. And it always reminds me of North by Northwest, which is a great, great movie. So there we go. We have 4 locations to choose from in this box. And we have 2 villains to choose from because here are the dashboards for Queen Varanki and the Skrulls. Oh, and that's right. They don't have health because you have to defeat them in a different way. I'm really looking forward to facing off against these 2. Now that I've seen what they have to offer, I'm excited to try them out. And they are complex. Like there's a lot of special setup going on. There's a lot to read on their dashboards, but I like that. I like when the dashboards have a lot of meat on their bones. So that's what you're going to find in this box villain-wise. And here inside we have the villains on the right. Here they are. Queen Varanki and the Skrulls. So if we take a look, there are their threats and their master playing cards, which look pretty par for the course, what you would expect. The threats for Queen Varanki are a little different because she's got Skrull imposters running around, Skrull versions of other heroes, I believe, which is kind of cool. Again, the mechanics for these villains are way better than I ever gave them credit for. And that's the villain side of things. Now, we will look at the heroes side of things. And that gives us Quake and Maria Hill and Nick Fury Sr. and Ronan. And they all have some good-looking cards. Ronan is a fantastic design on a character, even though he's a reskin of Hawkeye. Man, that looks fantastic. That looks so cool. Groovy. There's Nick Fury Sr. And just seeing him in those combat fatigues there gives me just flashbacks of watching the Iron Man cartoon as a kid and how he would kind of be like the M to Tony Stark's 007. And he'd call him up and be like, Stark, we got to send you to China to take care of some terrorism. He was a lot of fun. Here's Maria Hill, and she is rocking all the S.H.I.E.L.D. logos here. I've never really liked the aesthetic of S.H.I.E.L.D. I just found it too hyper modern, minimalist. It's not for me, but I like Maria Hill in the movies, so I'm all for it. Plus the actress who plays Maria Hill, Kobe Smulders, is a good old Canadian gal, so I can never say no to her. And Quake, who I got to know through Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but I'm sure there are Marvel fans way more up to speed than I am who knew her before that happened. And she's got nice purple cards. I just used her for the first time last time I played the game. I can't remember when that was. And underneath that are equipment cards, or at least one equipment card, because Ronan comes with his blade. So there's Ronan's blade. And unfortunately, if it's turned face down, you remove it from the game, so you can't reuse the blade. But then under that is the advanced training, which is the new mode that they add here. So you can give, if you go to Camp Hammond, you can get advanced training. And by discarding an advanced trading card, you get something out of it. So you could get a star token from the pool to the bottom of the card you're currently playing. And that card gains that symbol as long as it's in the storyline. Or you can get reflexes training where you move to adjacent location. And this can also be used right after the villain movement during a villain turn. So just something kind of Danger Room-esque. But I think there's a lot more of these cards than there were the Danger Room. There's a chunky stack of these here. But just something, unlike the complication cards that we saw last week, something to make the game a wee bit easier. Because S.H.I.E.L.D. agents have a lot of extensive training. So I shall put that back there. And I know how one-sided that is, but I do keep the villains on one side whenever possible. And who knows, in the future, if I ever get another villain who's like a Skrull or alien-esque or whatever, or who I feel would just fit thematically in this box, I have plenty of room to throw them in here. So let's take a look at the miniatures. I gotta say, my least favorite miniature in here is definitely Maria Hill. It's just generic shield agent. That one of the many things that I love about Marvel United, as opposed to other games with miniatures. Like, for example, let's take a game like Batman Gotham City Chronicles. Okay, I don't have anything necessarily bad to say about that game. I've never played it. I've just looked at it and I'm like, oh, that looks like a nice game, very big and extensive. But you'll get a box with, let's say, 40 miniatures, and half of those miniatures are just generic thug. So I really like that Marvel United lets the generic thugs just be tokens and lets the characters be the miniatures, right? They save the miniatures for the special things. So you're not opening a box that has 6 identical ninja figurines. And that was one of the things about the Skrulls that I was initially sort of meh about. But once I play them, I'm sure I'll change my mind. But I find like Maria Hill is just sort of, you could have just called this generic shield agent, but she's still a cool character. The Skrulls are next for me. There are a lot of them here. And I believe I gave them names when I was originally doing my unboxing here. But you've got 4 Skrulls. One of them is like, I'm going to fire up into the air. Another one is, I'm going to fire directly at you. Another one is, I'm going to swivel on my hip and fire at you. And then this last guy is just like, I'm going to leer at you and vaguely point my gun in your direction, but I might not squeeze the trigger. Depends if you tick me off. And those are your 4 Skrulls. And they seem like merry gentlemen. They seem like a merry band of petty thugs who work for the Skrull Queen. Let's do a quick look at those in case people want to just see those close up one more time on their own. Okay, there's Skrull 1. There is Skrull number 2. And Skrull number 3 is doing this. Hello, I'm Skrull number 3. I enjoy campfires and a good book and a glass of sherry. There we go. Thank you, Skrull number 3. And Skrull number 4, Bachelor number 4, enjoys surfing and knitting sweaters for his loved ones. And after that, I'm going to say that Quake... Actually, no, I lied. Nick Fury Sr. is my next favorite. Mostly I like his gun. It's a very weird-looking gun. But it's just Nick Fury. Just Nick Fury doing his thing. He's got his eye patch. Nothing too fancy, nothing too special, but that's okay. And after him, I will go with Quake. Thankfully, now that I've come to know these figures better, we all feared at first that these two would be incredibly hard to tell apart, but Quake has giant gauntlets, so her hands are much bigger, and she is literally standing on an earthquake. Hence the name. So that's Quake. I remember having a big crush on the actress who played her, Chloe Bennett. When that S.H.I.E.L.D. show was coming out, I was like, wow, who is this lady? But regardless, there's Quake. She's reaching for the stars. Love it. And after Quake, we will go with Queen Varanki. 2 characters in one box whose names start with Q? Get out of here. That's awesome. And Queen Varanki has a lot of hair for a Skrull. In fact, suspiciously so. Maybe she's not a Skrull at all. And she's got a cape, too. So the hierarchy of Skrulls lets you have drapery. It lets you have capes. It lets you have long hair. The lower on the Skrull totem pole you are, the less draping you get to do aesthetically and physically. But there's Queen Varanki. I really thought that Emilia Clarke was going to play her when Secret Invasion the show came out, but didn't turn out to be the case. And of course, my favorite figure in here is Ronan. It's just an awesome looking figure, man. There is a giant katana in his hand. He is standing on a rooftop and just out for revenge. He's heavy and solid. This is an awesome figure. And I'm sure people painting him will have a lot of fun with all of those crazy details. But there is Ronan. Hiya! Oh, sorry, Ronan. You cut the camera in half. Look what you've done. Hope you're proud of yourself. All right. Now let's send you back to the box. So, that's what we've got inside Secret Invasion. Whoops. This should go first. Now, I promised an extra little surprise. So, why waste time? We are not going to stop with Secret Invasion. We are going to look at two other small things as well. The first one of which is this. This is the Pet Companions box. Even though it is not an expansion box, it is something totally different. I don't even know what you would call it. It's well, I don't know what Simon calls it, but it's just a box of Pet Companions. There's no official word for it. It's not a character pack or anything like that. But the Pet Companions box is an optional Season 3 buy. And inside, you're going to find the following things. Well, if you take a look at that, you are going to find a deck of cards, one for each of the Pet Companions, or sorry, not one for each, but 3 for each of the Pet Companions, plus one of these cards, which tells you how Pet Companions works. So you've got Throg here, you've got Redwing, Lockheed, and Jeffrey the Land Shark, that's his name, and Goose, and Cosmo, and Alligator Loki. Okay, so the cards can be added to any deck that you choose, any hero deck, and that way you just have an extra little pet companion who can run around alongside them. Lockheed is the only one who does not come in this box. If you want Lockheed's mini, you gotta have Season 2. But other than that, it's a new game mode, essentially. Pet Companions is a new mode that just happens to come with new miniatures. And those miniatures, from my least to most favorite, I think my least favorite is Alligator Loki. And that's, I mean, there's nothing wrong with Alligator Loki. But there's Alligator Loki. He looks like he's up to something because, of course, he is. He's an alligator and he's Loki. He would never not be up to anything. And then we will go with Redwing. That's an awesome, just a bird on a perch. Very cool. I'm glad he's actually a bird. In the MCU, they made him a drone, and I gotta say, I hate drones and everything about them. So I'm glad they have the actual bird here. Jeffrey the Land Shark is my next favorite, though it's tight. A lot of these minis are a lot of fun. But he's great. And after that, I will go with Cosmo, the space dog, jumping on some rocks. Lovely looking thing. And then after that, I will go with Goose, the cat, or the Flurgan as he is known. And Goose here, the camera's being a little weird today, I'm sorry. Goose here is standing on a spaceship deck, and he's got a little hexagonal base, and he's crouched down, but he's also showing off a little bit of his Flurgan side. And finally, my favorite one in the box is Frog Thor, or Throg. I think that's his actual name, right? Yes, Throg. He's got a little Mjolnir. It's so cool. This is beautiful. This is excess at this point, but I love it. And I have not played with any of these guys yet, I'm sorry to say, but I wanted to show you this because it is a part of Season 3. Obviously, it's not going to be worth a whole lot of points, but it is something, and I wanted to call attention to it. So that is what you will get if you end up finding the Pet Companions box. If you're ever wondering if it's worth it, we're going to talk about the points of this as well. But there's one more thing. And that one more thing is this. Mr. Fang Foom, the dragon who, back in my day at least, was a big enemy of Iron Man. And if we turn it over, we can see what comes inside. The box is a little bit, it's a little bit messed up because opening it was a bit of a chore. It says here, Fin Fang Foom, the ancient shape-shifting alien dragon, lies dormant in the Valley of the Sleeping Dragon while the rest of his species prepares for invasion. But when he wakes, heroes will contend with the awesome fury of the dragon. Fin Fang Foom can also be used as a challenge in any game, adding the ticking time bomb of a slumbering dragon to the mix. Ooh, scary stuff. All right. Now, if you remember in the multiverse box, the core box from 2 weeks ago, I took out a lot of Fin Fang Foom stuff and put it in there. So that's where you're going to find at least his villain dashboard. I think that's the only thing I really took out was his villain dashboard and his location. But if you see here, here's the rules leaflet that came inside. So I just want to make sure everybody is clear on this so there's no miscommunication on my part. The villain dashboard and this one location, they do come in this box. If you purchase the Fin Fang Foom box on the aftermarket, you're going to get those, I promise. I just moved them to my multiverse core box, as you saw in the previous video. But this has everything you need to know on how to play against Fin Fang Foom, including who he's compatible against, who his challenge is compatible with. Okay. For example, it says here, you can't do that challenge if your villain is, let's say, the Legion guy or Dark Avengers. Okay. So, the Legion guy. I don't know why I said that like I'd never heard of him before. All right. As we open this up, you will see that inside, and I have sleeved these as well, is our Fin Fang Foom Master Plan deck and our threat cards. And then there's his Fin Fang Foom challenge card. So you can add him dormant as a challenge to any game. So on top of fighting, I don't know, Bullseye, you've also got a dragon in the mix. Why not? So here is your asleep awake cards here. I think this is only for use with the challenge. So when you have that there, you know to use the side that applies. Here are his threat cards and then his master plan cards. And he's a big deal. He's got some when he's sleeping and then some when he wakes up. Let's see, what is my favorite miniature in this box? All right, let's take a look at Fin Fang Foom's miniature, just so you can get a taste of what it might be that you can get. Wow, he is something else. This is beautiful. Fin Fang Foom is awesome. The ridges on his back are actually very spiky, so please don't leave him lying around where a child might step on him. And that includes his teeth. His teeth are spiky. He is a very pointy, dangerous miniature. Look at that. Look at that. That could take an eye out. So maybe careful with Fin Fang Foom around the kids. But he comes with his two wings separate, and they have these nubs at the back here. Now, I have seen people in the CMON United Fanatics Facebook group say they've had some trouble inserting these into the right sockets here. You might have to wiggle yours around a bit. I guess it all depends on the molding. Mine's got that thing sticking out there. Didn't notice that before. But I didn't have much trouble, thankfully, popping these in. They go in, you give it just a little firm push, and you'll feel the little satisfying just sort of click as they go in. And one of them, the first one I put in, was much easier to get in than the second one I just put in. But there you go. That's what he looks like when he's assembled. And he's a big, big daddy. He's a big boy. So, Fin Fang Foom, excellent little box. He was the all-in bonus, so it was like getting him was sort of part of the deal, depending on the pledge level. So finding him on the aftermarket might be tough. It might be easy. I don't know what the aftermarket looks like right now. But if you are in the market for him, just know that he really is just a one villain thing. There's not anything else in here except him and his challenge. But it is a fun challenge. I faced him. He was pretty tough, but in all the right ways. Okay, that'll do it for Fin Fang Foom. Or will it? I don't know. Did I not put this on right? There we go. That'll do it for Fin Fang Foom, and that'll do it for me for today. Now we're going to head back and take a look at our points and see what all three, hold on, let me get them back into frame. All three of these boxes will run you if you have a chance to pick them up for yourself. Oh, and also, watch Attack the Block. So starting with pet companions, obviously this box is not going to be chock full of points. It's literally 6 tiny miniatures and a new mode that's not as substantial as something like, say, an Infinity Gauntlet mode or anything. It's just a new mode called Pet Companions. It's a miscellaneous new Season 3 thing that really has no precedent before it, hence the teal color once again. But 6 minis is pretty substantial, especially if you are collecting for the minis, if you like to paint or you just like having these little pieces. So this box ends up being worth 7 points. Again, very low compared to what we've seen, but come on, that's 7 points. That's fine. I'm not going to complain about 7. And over here we have Fang Foom, which comes with 1 mini, which is a special mini because it's big. Fang Foom is not a small person. He shops at Mr. Big and Tall, so his miniature is worth 2 points. He's also a villain, which is worth another 2 points. The box is going to give you the Valley of the Sleeping Dragon location, so there's a half point for you. And then finally, add Fang Foom to any recipe with the Fang Foom challenge. A little spice to whatever dish you happen to be cooking. But that still ends up giving you the lowest point score we've ever given to a single box. It's only 5.5. Based on our arbitrary point system, it's worth less than the Pets box, which is kind of strange to think about. But yeah, that's it. It really is just a box with one big villain and a challenge at the end of the day. The location's kind of the cherry on the sundae. But there you go, 5.5 points. Now, if you really like Fang Foom, don't stop yourself from picking this up just because of that low number, because this is a great villain. And at last, the Secret Invasion expansion itself. This comes with 9 miniatures. That's a big expansion. 4 of those miniatures are heroes for 4 points. Only 2 of them are villains for another 4 points. Because remember, those Skrulls are just one villain at the end of the day. 4 locations come in the box too, as well as these advanced training cards, another miscellaneous new Season 3 thing that's not quite a challenge and not quite a whole new mode. And then at last, an equipment card for Ronin's blade. So this gives you a grand total of 21 points of worthiness. All right, that was a lot of stuff in one video, but we crammed it in there. And it's some good stuff. I really hope this helped you make some informed decisions about what aftermarket Uniteds you may want to get for yourself. What's going to be next on the deep dive? I'm not going to tell you. You're going to have to try to guess for yourself. Tell you what, guess what you think the next expansion is that we are going to cover. And maybe put your guesses in the comments below. I already have it picked, so I'm not going to change my answer depending on the comments. But curious to see how many people know me by now who might know which one I'll do next, based on the fact that I like to kind of save my favorites for last. So go ahead and give us your guesses, and I'll see you here next time on another deep dive as we continue to make the wait for DC Superheroes United a little bit shorter and a whole lot sweeter. See you next time.